The fluorescent lights of Crestwood Mall buzzed with that soul-crushing artificial drone that made everything feel fake. It was a Tuesday afternoon, and the food court reeked of discount brand pizza and that overly sweet chemical air freshener. Shoppers mindlessly shuffled by, bags in their hands, faces glued to their phones, completely oblivious to the fact that they were about to witness something that would forever change one security guard's life. Hank the Hammer Thompson sat in his wheelchair near the fountain in the center atrium. At 78 years old, his body had betrayed him. Diabetes had claimed his left leg 5 years prior. Arthritis had twisted his hands into painful, gnarled claws. His clothes were worn and faded, his grey beard unkempt, and his old army surplus jacket had more patches than original fabric. To anyone walking by, he looked like just another homeless guy who had wandered in off the street, and that is exactly what Derek Morrison thought when he spotted him. But before we get any further, and if you believe in kindness, second chances, and standing up for what is right, make sure to hit that like button, drop a comment, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. And let us know in the comments where you're watching from, because stories like this remind us that humanity still exists in every corner of the world. Derek Morrison was 26 years old, and he wore his mall security uniform like it was a freaking general's insignia. He strutted through the mall with his chest puffed out, always looking for any excuse to exercise his tiny amount of authority. When he saw the old man in the wheelchair, he saw an opportunity. "Hey, you!" Derek barked as he approached Hank. "This is private property. We don't allow panhandling here. You need to leave, now." Hank looked up slowly. His eyes were sharp. Despite his age, he wasn't panhandling. He was just waiting for his grandson to finish shopping at Dick's Sporting Goods. But before he could even explain, Derek grabbed the handles of his wheelchair. "I said move it." "Old-timer. We don't need your kind stinking up the place." What happened next shocked everyone watching. Derek shoved the wheelchair. Hard. Too hard. It tipped forward, and Hank tumbled out onto the cold tile floor, his prosthetic leg detached. His cane clattered away. Shoppers gasped, but nobody moved to help. They just stared at the old man, lying face down, on the floor. Hank didn't cry out. He didn't beg. He simply looked up at Derek with those sharp eyes and said quietly, "You have no idea what you just did, son." Derek laughed. He actually laughed. "What are you going to do? Call your nursing home. Get out of here before I have you arrested." A young man came running from the sporting goods store. Tommy Thompson, age 23. He saw his grandfather on the floor, and his face went white with rage. But Hank held up his twisted hand. "No, Tommy. Not here. Not now. Help me up. We're leaving." They left. But Hank made a phone call on the way out. Just one phone call. To an old friend named Mac McMillan. Their conversation lasted less than 2 minutes. The next morning, at exactly 10 a.m., Derek Morrison reported for his shift at Crestwood Mall. The parking lot seemed oddly full for a Wednesday morning. When he walked outside to investigate, his blood ran cold. Motorcycles everywhere, 500 of them, Harley Davidsons, lined up in perfect rows, stretching across the entire parking lot, chrome gleaming in the morning sun, engines rumbling like thunder, and standing in front of them all, 500 men and women, in black leather vests, with red and white patches, hell's serpents, every single one of them. Mac McMillan, the national president, walked slowly toward the mall entrance. He was 62 years old, built like a tank, with arms covered in tattoos. Behind him came 4 men, pushing a wheelchair, and in that wheelchair sat Hank the Hammer Thompson. But today, he wasn't wearing his faded old clothes. Today, he wore his original leather cut from 1968. The patches on his vest told a story. But Derek Morrison was only now beginning to understand. National founder. Original 9. Hell's Serpents Forever. Hank the Hammer Thompson wasn't just a Hell's Serpents member. He was one of the 9 original founders of the club, a living legend, the man who had built an empire that now spanned 37 countries. The mall manager came running out, his face pale with terror. "What is happening? What do you want?" "Mac." Macmillan's voice was calm, but deadly. "Yesterday, one of your security guards assaulted our founding father, threw him from his wheelchair, called him a vagrant, laughed while he lay on the floor." Derek Morrison stood frozen near the entrance. His legs wouldn't move. His bladder felt dangerously close to releasing. Mac continued, "We don't want violence. That's not what Hank wants, but we want that guard, right, now, and we want him to apologize on his knees." 4 Hell's Serpents walked into the mall and returned, dragging Derek by his arms. They placed him on his knees, in front of Hank's wheelchair. Derek was sobbing openly now, snot running down his face, begging incoherently. Hank looked at him. For a long moment, the entire parking lot was silent. 500 motorcycles, 500 bikers, all waiting. Then Hank spoke. "I was in Vietnam in 1967. I saw things no man should see when I came home. This country treated me like garbage, called me a baby killer, spit on me in the airport. I started this club because I needed brothers who understood, who would never abandon me, who would never judge me by how I looked." Derek was shaking uncontrollably. "You judged me by my appearance," Hank continued. "You saw an old man in worn-out clothes, and you decided I was worthless. But here's what you didn't see. You didn't see the Purple Heart in my pocket. You didn't see the 50 years I spent building something that matters. You didn't see the man, you only saw what you wanted to see." Hank leaned forward in his wheelchair. "I forgive you, but you're going to spend the rest of your life remembering this moment. Every time you look at someone and think you know who they are, you're going to remember the day you threw Hank Thompson on the floor." The mall fired Derek Morrison. On the spot, the Hell's Serpents donated $50,000 to the local veterans hospital in Hank's name, and a video of the entire confrontation went viral, viewed by 12 million people in the first week. And before we end, we have one special request for you. Comment below with the words, "Never judge appearances," to show that you stand with Hank, because sometimes the person who looks like they have nothing is the one who built everything. Never underestimate the quiet ones. Never disrespect the ones who came before you, because you never know whose family you might be messing with.